Hi, I'm Chris from Balloons Online. Today we're going to do a test of the Lagenda machine. Big thanks to JJ, the balloon guy from Sydney, who has lent this to me for 2 months, over November and December, it's just been a real lifesaver. We've been using Conwin machines for, I've personally been using them for 16 years. We've had them in the shop here, the Precision Air, for many years on site, working in store. One big thing I've found about the Conwin is it's just too noisy to use in store. We have a workspace here, the retail space is behind, the two spaces are connected, and when we're working we just can't answer the phones. So I was very interested when I heard about how quiet the Lagenda machine was, so I was really keen to give it a go. And so let's open it up. We've been, as I said, testing it for a while, so we'll just go through the parts and then we'll give it a little test for the purpose of this YouTube video. So here we have, first thing you notice when you open it up, nice neat package. It's a little bit smaller, and to be honest, I like the black. I think it works. So let's get our parts. Now you've probably heard by now that it's got a switch at the top, which is very exciting, and I was exceptionally excited at the same time to know that there was also a foot pedal. Lots of my staff that I've found while we've been testing it just were looking for a foot pedal. They just, somehow that was just how they worked and they couldn't get past it, so very thankful they had a foot pedal. Just hand screw the valves in, and JJ pointed out it's quite neat to make sure that the 5-inch reducer is plugged in when you hand screw them in. Just makes it a little bit easier. You can close that. They've thought of a lot of really great features with this machine, which we'll explain as we go, but we'll just set it up so the power and the foot pedal, there you go. Okay, so first you'll notice an on button. Fantastic. Now the reason why you especially need an on button here is, well, firstly, all of our Conwin stuff we're going to turn on from the plug, which if the plug isn't nearby, it's a little bit inaccessible. We've got a split second sizer on helium just over there, and every time at the end of the day you got to unplug it, and it's a bit messy and the cord drops, and so big ups to just having an on button on the side. The other reason why it's quite important to have it is the Lagenda has a fan, so what it does is it cools down all the equipment inside. It keeps that fan, keeps the airflow running when you're not using it, which seems to be exceptionally important. I haven't noticed it to overheat yet, but the problem about that fan, you might not be able to hear it, but it's loud. You know, it's there, and it's just the fact that you know it's there is slightly annoying. So at least you can turn it off when you're not doing any jobs on it, and once it's cooled down, and that's easy enough to do. So what we'll do is we'll get some balloons and give it a little test run. Alright, let's turn it on and give it a test. So you'll notice when it's on, all of the control panel starts at 0000. Your right hand side is the count, which we'll explain that a little bit later. The left hand side is the increase for the amount of time that'll output. So as we adjust up, you'll notice on the right it stays the same, it's still on the count. So if we want to see what we're adjusting on the right hand channel, just click once and you'll see the size. So you'll notice how they'll both go in unison. Now the great thing about this machine, which I absolutely love, is you can vary the right and the left channels. So to do that, set your left channel where you want it, and the right channel then can adjust accordingly. Now, it's just an absolute amazing that this does it. The amount of times we're working on site, we wanted a left and a right channel to vary for whatever sculpture we're making. And I'd have to bring an air compressor with the dual second sizer, and it's just a lot more gear. And it's for even having it in the shop as a secondary thing that we can work with to vary the left and the right channel. It's just fantastic. So let's just go back to just point 1. I thought we'll start with some 5-inch and we'll inflate them. Have a look at the finished size that it inflates at this factory setting. Now I'll point out as well, the factory settings might be different depending on the machine from place to place. You can make adjustments. JJ, I haven't done it yet. Okay, I promised I wouldn't make an adjustment. But it's a good thing. Like some of our other equipment, we've intentionally adjusted the output pressure. We've dropped it a little bit so that from the same amount of time it outputs that pressure, we can get a smaller balloon. So it gives us more variance in the size, the finished size. So for instance, if I take 20% pressure off and I'm inflating at 1.0, then it might go at 1.2. So all of a sudden I've got 2 more variances. So if I'm building a Christmas tree and I want to have a number of layers where it cascades or it decreases slowly or more subtly, that's something you can do. I wouldn't perhaps recommend it. I don't know how it'll go with the warranty, but that's something that I've done in the past, and I do it all the time with the air compressor machines. So let's start. One little thing to point out with the 5-inch reducer, it's a little bit pointy. The nib is pointy here, and I can catch or snag the latex balloon when I'm setting it. So make sure it flows freely and doesn't reduce the air that it's outputting. Okay, so that's point 1. Let's just have a look at the size of that. So I've got about 7 centimeters, which is say 2 3/4 inches. Point 2, about 9 centimeters, which is a little over 3.5 inches. Point 3 gives me 10.5 centimeters, which is a little over 4 inches. And you can see at point 4, we're pretty much at max for a 5-inch balloon. So we're about 4.5 inches, 11.5 centimeters, and we'll give you a 0.5. Which is 12 centimeters, 5 inches, thereabouts. But look, I never really use a 5-inch balloon in the sculptures that we do at full 5-inch. I want to have a bit of flex. I might be tying a pair, wrapping it around a thing, giving it a little bit more stress. So that gives me 4 variances, which, it's just a problem with all the equipment we have these days, of the 5 inches to work with. I'm building a sculpture, quite often I need a bit more variance in the size. So guys, when you're designing the next product, keep that in mind. It'll be a fantastic aid. So let's have a look at maybe 11-inch, and then we'll have a look at how to adjust the count. So I've taken the reducers off. So you'll notice at 0.5, it's a lot bigger than how it was on a 5-inch. Of course, we've opened the valves, there's a lot more airflow, there's less resistance. So keep that in mind. So 0.1 is about 11.5 centimeters. We've got 13 centimeters for 0.2. 14 centimeters for 0.3 and so on. So let's just have a look now at intentionally varying the size. So I'll click back to control that. The right channel, let's change that around. Okay, fantastic. Such a great bit of ingenuity. And you'll notice how it reverts back to the count each time you push a button, which is great. You can keep an eye on that. I use the count all the time, especially like quick link walls. We're doing 10 verticals, 10 horizontals, whatever it is. I reset the count every time I make that change. Now, the way I did that is you hold down the 0 button, okay? So you can have the count at 6, now we've gone to 8, hold it down, and now we've reset it. Now the great thing is, just say we make 2 balloons and 1 pops, you can just click down once and now hit it again and we'll go back to where we left off. So it's great keeping track of where you're going, especially if balloons pop, and especially some of those more complicated sculptures. So Lagenda, you've done a fantastic job. Thanks so much for creating a great tool for our industry. I look forward to seeing what Conwyn and yourself come up next time. Thanks.